Ever since I made this video about global entry versus TSA PreCheck versus Clear, I've been getting a ton of questions about how to get global entry for kids. And good news, we recently got global entry for our 3-year-old daughter. And so in this video, I'm gonna share with you what that process was like. So if you're curious about getting it for your kids or just wondering if you should, that's what I'm gonna walk you through here. Now, first things first, the first misconception I wanna get out of the way is that global entry, while it does give you or grant TSA PreCheck, it's not like TSA PreCheck in that TSA PreCheck allows you as a parent, if you have it, to take your kids with you, even if they don't through the TSA PreCheck lines. Global entry, to use the global entry lanes when you're coming into the USA through Customs and Border Protection, through passport control, everybody needs to have global entry, including your kids, regardless of how old they are, from 1 day old to whatever age, they need to have global entry to use those lines. Now onto the question of, is getting global entry worth it for your kids? The answer to this is, are you planning to travel with them internationally a few times over the next 5 years? And if you are, then it's likely worth it. But if you're not planning to travel internationally with your kids in the next 5 years, then don't get them global entry. You'll be wasting your money. The program cost of global entry for kids is the same as for adults, $100 for a 5-year program membership. If you have a premium travel credit card that rebates the price of global entry, you can use that on your kids' application fee as well. Just know that many of these credit cards that do that, they often do the rebate on a 5-year cycle. So if you got global entry 2 years ago and then you get it for your kids on the same card, you likely won't get the $100 rebate. But if you've got an Amex Platinum card that you used for your rebate, and then you've got a Chase Sapphire Reserve that also gives a rebate, use that for your kids and get your $100 right on back. Okay, so now on to the actual application procedures of global entry for kids. It's pretty similar to you as an adult in that you need to get your kids an account on the Trusted Traveler Program website, and to do that, your kids need an email address separate from yours, because if you've signed up for global entry, you used your email address for your account, and you can't use your email address for their account too. So if your kids don't have an email account, now's the time to sign them up for a free Gmail account. And yes, our 3-year-old daughter has her own email account. So once you've got that email account, you'll sign up for an account with login.gov, which gives you an account on the Trusted Traveler Program website. Once you've got that account, you go in, you set up the application. You will need to have a passport for your child already, because you're gonna need to put in their passport number. If they don't have a passport, well, go ahead and apply for that passport. Once you get it, then you can apply for global entry for them. Now, once you've submitted your kid's application online and paid the $100, Customs and Border Patrol does some background checks, which they say should be done on average in about 2 weeks, and they'll send you an email when they're done. We got an email for our daughter's global entry 2 days later that the background checks were done, although that's not what the email said. The email has this really obtuse wording that there's been an application status change, and in order to get any real information, you have to log back into the Trusted Traveler Program website. Well, when we did, it said our daughter's application was conditionally approved, and it was time for us to schedule an appointment. So when you get to that place with your kids and you schedule an appointment, yes, as kids, just like adults, they need to go in and they need to get an appointment and an interview at one of the physical locations. And if you're wondering, Chris, I have a 1-year-old. What sort of questions are they possibly going to ask in an interview for them? I have an answer for you. Just wait. Now, if you're going on the Trusted Traveler Program website and you're looking for interviews and you can't find any because, frankly, they're really hard to come by right now, you can also consider doing an interview on arrival. Many locations coming back into the US, if you're conditionally approved for global entry, will allow you to do this interview on arrival. We tried it when we were coming back from Vancouver a few months ago. We were shot down because at passport control, they said they were too busy and 3 of us needed to get it, me, my wife, and my daughter, and they said they just didn't have enough time to do our global entry interviews on arrival, but maybe you'll be a little more lucky and maybe you don't even have to schedule an appointment if you can get the interview on arrival. However you get your interview, whether it's on arrival or in person, there's a few things you're gonna need to bring. First of all, one parent or guardian must accompany the child to the interview, and now assuming that parent or guardian is you, the things you're gonna need to bring bring, you're gonna need to bring your passport, your driver's license, and if your mailing address is different than what's on your driver's license, you'll need to bring something to prove your mailing address, and you'll need to bring your kid's passport along with you. And we had our interview at LAX airport because I mentioned we tried to do interview on arrival and that didn't work. So we scheduled an appointment at LAX, and it turns out they've moved the Global Entry office out of the airport entirely. It used to be in the international terminal. Now it is in a rented office building a couple miles from the airport, which was actually a lot easier to get to, but it's in a really strange building, and this office is down a really kind of creepy, bizarre hallway at a door that you like ring a doorbell to go in, and you go in this room, and it's a small room. It really felt like a mini DMV. They were all super pleasant, but just a super weird setup. So now, what questions did they ask our daughter? What questions did they ask our 3-year-old in an interview like this? They asked her if they could take her picture. And they asked her to come alongside the desk because the Logitech webcam that they have wouldn't reach her, so she had to come alongside to get her picture taken. What other questions did they ask our 3-year-old? None. That's it. They asked me a bunch of questions. In addition to taking her picture, they took my picture. They asked for all the material that I brought, passport, driver's license, her passport. They asked me to verify our mailing address. They asked me to verify her email address. They asked me to verify her date of birth, full name, asked me to verify whether or not she, our daughter, has traveled to Mexico or Canada in the last 5 years. And then the CBP officer quickly corrected himself and said, I mean 3 years, because she's only 3 years old. And at that point, that was all the questions. The CBP officer said, thank you very much. You should expect to receive your Global Entry card in the mail 2 to 3 weeks later. And sure enough, 2 to 3 weeks later, Global Entry card for our daughter arrived in the mail, and now we can all happily go through the Global Entry lanes together when we come back into the USA and don't have to stand in the long passport lines. Great for our trip coming back from Taiwan and Japan here in just a couple months. Now, if you're planning some travels with your infant or toddler, you might enjoy watching my video right here, all about 20 tips to travel with your infant and toddler. Lots of great trips for traveling in the plane, road trips, staying in hotels. You can check that out here or find the link in the description below. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm gonna see you in the next video.